I've been playing keyboard since I was 4 years old, and as much as I love it, there's one thing that's always been true. It's not easy. Sure, you don't need all the skill in the world to play your favorite songs, but to be a highly skilled virtuoso, it takes a lot of time, commitment, and dedication until now. Hey everyone, my name is Onesto, and today I want to show you how to use Virtual Pianist. It's kind of wild, but this plugin has become one of my favorite collaborators, and I can't wait to show you what I mean. Virtual Pianist is a piano engine that currently has 3 piano models to play with: Score and emotional and cinematic piano, Vibe and electric piano for modern and vintage sounds, and Vogue, a grand piano for timeless pop anthems. And if you want to try Virtual Pianist for free, I got you covered. Hit the link below for a free trial for any of these piano titles. I think you'll be really surprised how much you'll love it. Let's start with the essentials, which means that for a moment, we're gonna ignore all the characters, all the amazing effects, the dark and light slider, and just focus on the bottom panel right here. And what you'll notice is that this virtual piano is a little different than most piano plugins. On the left side of the piano roll, we have 6 phrases to choose from, and they increase in intensity from left to right. On the right side of the piano roll, we have our chord triggers. So instead of playing the keyboard like I normally would, I just need to hold out a single note like this C, and we'll hear a phrase play as a C major chord. Or I can hold out a more interesting chord like a C sus4. And you'll know what you're playing by looking at the chord header right here. Let's increase the intensity of our phrasing and play that C sus4 again. So you can hear the less intense phrase is still there, but it's just become more complex. Let's write a chord progression now. Great, now let's hear that in the context of this track that I'm working on. All right, in context, I like the phrase, but let's try another one. I like that one a lot too. So how about we change the phrasing after 2 chords? To do that, I'll just draw a MIDI here that will trigger the phrase change. Let's hear that now in context. Yep, that's a great start. And let's say you like the chord progression, but you want to change the phrasing entirely. Well, you can click the style dropdown to find several other options to try. Let me just say that as I've been adopting Virtual Pianist to my workflow, I'm always discovering and using these interesting piano phrases in a few minutes. Like with this example, I'm not sure if I would have ended up here on my own. Great, now let's take it up a notch because what I showed you is just the beginning. For example, the mod wheel on your MIDI keyboard controls the busyness control here, which as you expect controls how busy or simple the phrasing is. It's one of my favorite controls to play around with after I lay down a chord progression. So let's solo the piano and hear that busyness control. Now, another way to add flourishes is by using the black keys that are in the phrase area right here. As I hover over each one, you'll see that these 2 black keys let us play a low or high chord, and the other black keys offer 3 fills. The next thing I want to show you is a playable range that's right above the key roll. The highlighted area indicates where Virtual Pianist will play, so you can concentrate the phrases to just this area here, or extend it to cover all the piano. It's entirely up to you. And one thing that I'm so happy about is that you can automate the playable range, which I'll show you what can happen in just a second. So I already made those changes to our chord progression here. You can see that I increased the busyness near the end of the loop, added in some fills, and I also had fun automating that playable range. Let's solo the piano and hear the results. Yeah, that sounds so good. So let's hear the piano in context of the entire track. We are really going for it here, but again, I'm not confident that I could play this or even come up with this, and we put it together in just a few minutes. So when you play Virtual Pianist, you can expect to quickly discover catchy and ready to go phrases, which is such a rare thing to find in a plugin. Let's now check out the top half of the plugin, but for that, we'll switch over to Vibe, which is a vintage electric piano. Here's another loop that I put together using a lot of the principles that we went through in the last section. This sounds really good, but when I put vibe in the context of the full track, something sounds off. I like what vibe is playing, but it feels out of place. So let's see what we can do with the character and dark light slider. So the character mode allows you to easily switch between different keyboard aesthetics, and these character modes are custom tailored to each title. For example, in vibe, at the top we start off warm and mellow, and then we end at the bottom of the list with a brighter bell-like attack and barkier settings. And you know what? I feel like 5 sounds too mellow. It sounds great, but I think it needs to be more aggressive. So let's explore these character modes with the electric piano soloed. I like bell and bark a lot. Let's hear it in context to help us make a final decision. Okay, I think bell is the right choice, but now I want to make it brighter. So instead of reaching for an EQ, I'll try using this dark light slider right here. And since I want it brighter, let's play it again and I'll just turn up the light slider. Great, in full context, I think vibe makes a lot more sense. Now before I move on to the last feature, I want to show you one more cool example with vibe. Here's another chord progression that I put together. I really like it, but I want this chord progression to be a grand piano instead of a vintage electric piano. So I'm going to make use of the MIDI drag and drop feature. To use it, I just click the phrase I like and then drag and drop it into my DAW. I have score loaded on this channel for our grand piano. Now you might be wondering how this MIDI is going to work in Virtual Pianist since I just showed you how the keys trigger phrases. Well, if we switch Virtual Pianist from player to instrument mode, we can now play it as we would any other virtual piano. Let's hear how our MIDI phrase from vibe sounds in score. Yeah, that sounds really gorgeous. The last thing for us to go over are the effects and master section. In the effects section, we have the finisher and ambience. Finisher is really interesting. This is a multi-effect preset that you can control with just one knob. So let's go back to the example that we worked on and try out a few of the finisher presets. I hope you can hear that each preset is distinct from one another. It's not just messing with the saturation or delay, it's each finisher mode is unique and designed for a specific purpose in mind. And the best part is that all of it has been sorted out for you. And then we have the ambience control, which is sort of like reverb. It determines the space that the piano is in. And once again, you control it with a single knob. Let's hear a few presets. Now that you know how to get started with Virtual Pianist, you might be interested in Virtual Guitarist. It uses a lot of the same workflow that we went over, but it's applied to all kinds of amazing guitars. You'll want to check it out, so I'll see you in the next one.